Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about how I use retro video games to help me learn a new language. I'm going to share some tips and I hope I can convince some of you to try it out. Alright, so let's get started on choosing the right game. You should pick something that's story driven by text, where you're constantly reading and choosing things. RPGs are perfect for this, and the Pokémon series is the natural choice. As it's made for kids, the vocabulary is nice and simple, the grammar isn't too complicated, and it tends to repeat itself a lot, so you're reading the same phrases again and again. This repetition is really helpful when it comes to learning. Okay, so now let's talk about finding the games. Due to its popularity, Pokémon has released in many languages, so you may be lucky enough to actually have an official release in your target language. But for those of us learning a more obscure language, we'll need to rely on community patches. So it's as simple as Googling the name of the Pokémon game you want to play, plus the language of your choice and patch or translation. And with any luck, you'll find one. I would suggest that you search for your game in your target language, as these patches were made for native speakers. Alright, so you've got your game in your target language. How do you actually use it effectively to learn? Firstly, you should be at a level where you can catch the gist of most sentences. You should be able to recognize basic directions and common suffixes, because that's what will help you piece together meaning from context and progress in game. I'd say you want to be at least a level A2 on the CEFR scale. If you're only A1, you'll spend most of your time flicking back and forth in a dictionary, and you'll just get lost and frustrated. I've been studying using traditional methods for a long time, and whilst they are undoubtedly effective when you put the work in, it can be really hard to remain focused and motivated, as I'm sure many of you know. I found this excellent book full of short stories in my target language. It makes you rely on discovering the meaning for yourself by piecing together clues from pictures and surrounding words you're familiar with. It's way more engaging, and it made me feel more involved in the language learning process. It relies on our brain's natural ability to problem solve and aligns closer to how we learnt language as children, rather than traditional study methods. I realised this method is perfect for video games, where you're constantly getting visual feedback, making it much easier to pick up meaning from words you don't know yet. In fact, I think it may even be better than the book, as video games feature a lot of aforementioned repetition, so you're not only learning, but you're constantly testing yourself throughout. Okay, so on to the tips. Tip number 1, don't translate everything. This is my most important tip. Don't look up every sentence you don't understand. This can be a hard habit to break, but it really slows you down and it doesn't engage your brain. Immersion is cited as the fastest way to learn a language, and we want to replicate that experience as close as we can. You won't understand everything, and that's okay. Tip number 2, pay attention to common words. If a word keeps showing up and you still can't pin it down, that's not a bad thing, it's a clue. It probably means it's a common word and therefore high value to learn. Write it down, stick it into a set of flashcards. After a while, you'll have learned all the common words, which will greatly increase your ability to decipher more complex sentences. Tip number 3, context is your friend. One huge advantage of games over textbooks is context. Words aren't just floating on a page, you'll see them tied to actions, characters, menus, and choices, already giving them more meaning. So pay attention and try to anticipate what might be said in certain situations. Tip number 4, mix flashcards with gaming. They're tried and tested and they work, so they're great to integrate into your gaming routine. Play a session, write down the tricky words that keep coming up, and run through them with flashcards. If you're playing on a modern device, it can be helpful to install a flashcard app such as Anki, so you'll always have them with you. Try to do this before and after every session. Tip number 5, say the words out loud. It may feel weird, but don't just read silently. When you see a word or phrase you're trying to learn, actually say it out loud. Hearing yourself say it, even quietly, makes it stick better. It's the difference between recognizing a word on paper and being able to recall it in conversation. I remember when I learnt French years ago and I never practiced speaking. To this day I can read French to a decent level, but I can hardly say a word. Learn from my mistakes and read out loud as you play. Tip number 6. Be consistent. For this to work, you'll need to be consistent, same as any other technique. This is where video games have the advantage. Your enjoyment of the game will keep you going. And this leads me on to my last piece of advice. Tip number 7. Keep it fun. Above all, don't turn it into a grind. This is the advantage of using games to learn. If it feels like work, you'll probably drop it. The whole point is you're learning while having fun. If you're looking forward to booting up the game, you're far more likely to stick with it, and the language progress will follow naturally. Well, that's all my tips. Hopefully I've inspired you to give this a go, because it really does work. Loads of people around the world have learnt English through gaming, so there's no reason why you can't do the same with your target language. Thanks a lot for watching, I really appreciate it, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.